Lisa Ashpole for a series of unpaid loans. Lisa says the money was an attempt to win her love.
Order, all rise. Now, this is case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Gray versus Ashpole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Gray, you and the defendant dated briefly while she was separated from her husband. And according to your complaint, during that time you made 2 loans to her. The first loan was for an attorney, and the second was to catch up on a mortgage payment. The defendant says you never made any loans to her, but did give her money. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Now, when did you meet her?
It was during bowling season.
I don't know when bowling season is, sir.
About 2001.
Excuse me?
In the fall.
Can you get any closer by, say, month?
Okay, August. How's that?
August of 2001.
Yes. And we were just friends up at the bowling alley, sitting there talking and, you know, joking around. Eventually, right around St. Patrick's Day. All right.
We're going to have a conversation here, which means you'll talk and then I'll talk.
Okay.
Did you meet her at bowling?
She was a waitress, I was a bowler. Yes.
When did you separate from your husband?
In June.
So you were separated at the time that you met the plaintiff, is that right?
No, we were friends when I was at work. So I knew him while I was still married, yes.
But in August of 2001 is when you started to date him?
No.
When?
May of 2001.
And when did you separate from your husband?
In June.
Okay. Shh. When was this loan for a lawyer?
Roughly August 2001.
Is that right?
July of 2001.
Now I'd like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding that, sir. You're not very good at dates. Let's see if you're better at the substantive part of it.
On the lawyer? She come up to me and she was having trouble and she wanted a divorce from her husband.
But you were dating at that time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I had a good lawyer friend that I referred her to, and he cut her a deal and gave her half of the retainer fee. So I gave her the $750 in cash so she could go get things taken care of. And at that point, I made her understand it was still a loan to her, not a gift.
How did you make that clear, sir?
Just by talking and told her what I said.
I want you to tell me what you said and what she said.
She told me she would pay me back within a reasonable short amount of time.
She said she would pay you back?
Yes, she did.
Now, what's your version of the lawyer story?
The lawyer story is that he had this great friend that worked on his divorce case, and I needed to get this started. And he gave me the money.
Now, what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
Let me give you the money. Let me help you. Let me give you the money to get it. Otherwise, where are you going to be? You're not going to have an attorney. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. You're not going to have an attorney without any money. Let me help you. Mm-hmm. There was nothing ever about any loan.
Well, why would he give
any
you
payback?
Why would he give you that money? Why would you not expect to
He
pay
wanted
him
my
back?
divorce.
You wanted a divorce. Why?
I think actually he wanted it probably more than I did.
No. No. Why would you think that you should not pay him back?
Because I didn't, at that particular time, I did not have the means to pay him back, and he knew that. I had told him that, and then this is also about the mortgage.
Well, you didn't get to the mortgage
I know,
yet.
but I knew that I have 3 children. I'm not getting child support. I'm a working mom. I'm not going to give up my home. At one point, I even had 3 jobs to support my means.
Okay. Now tell me about the mortgage payments, sir.
Well, she was
That's the second loan.
She was behind 3 months in her mortgage.
How did you know that?
She told me.
Where were you when she told you that?
We were probably just sitting in her bedroom.
Go ahead.
And she said she was 3 months behind. And she asked if I could help her out. And I said, yes, I can. But again, I loaned her the money. And I made the payments.
Now I'll hear you.
I have never asked him to give me money. I have never asked him to loan me money. I never asked him for anything. We might have been sitting on my bed talking, and I was venting because I was very upset. I was behind. I was not getting any help from my husband that had moved out. But I had never asked him for anything.
You told him that you were 3 months behind in your mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
How did he pay the mortgage payment?
Actually, I was paying bills, writing things out.
On the bed?
Because I had it out, right. I was paying my other bills that I could afford to pay. I could not afford to pay this. He took the statement out of my hand, picked up the phone, and made a check over the phone to pay the mortgage. And I was telling him,
Is that
no,
right, sir? You paid
please
it over
do
the
not
phone?
do that.
I made it by Visa, yes.
You made it by Visa over the phone?
Yes.
And I kept saying, please do not do that. Because if I would have had anything to do with this, I would have at least made him make sure that he paid the right amount. Because he didn't pay the whole thing.
How much was the mortgage?
$3,000.
Your Honor, I would like to also say some other things that I have here.
Go ahead.
After my husband had left, we've never lived together, but Tim never went home. He asked me if he was getting low on his check, should he reorder some and put them in my address. I told him no, it was too soon. I did not think that this was a good idea. To go open my mailbox 2 weeks later to find a box of checks in his name only in my address. He has also bought siding to my shed that I told him to return.
So?
I also fixed a lot of stuff in the house.
You
Shortly
cared-
after her husband
You
left.
cared for her.
Oh, yes, I cared very much.
You cared
And,
for her. Did you follow through with your divorce?
It's in the works right
What
now.
happened to the two of you? Just curious.
Well, she couldn't handle my kids. My kids are very outspoken. They tell it as it is, and that's the way I
They
raised
lie.
them.
Just a second.
The raised-
Maybe they're just rude.
No, this is the way we were. We just, told it as it is. And she just couldn't handle the way they were.
How old are your children?
I got 4, 22, 21, 19, and 16. And, I love them dearly. And she couldn't handle it, so she, went her way a little while. Before I knew that, she was starting to date another guy from the bar. Past I heard that she was back with her husband again, from what I heard, and here I am.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
You heard wrong.
Yep, okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things.
That's not what you told me
But I
before.
don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You do if you're in love.
And later today,
Mr. Bridges, what date did they take the computer home?
Forgive me. Oh, great. I'm a little nervous. I apologize.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Tuesdays. Just Tuesdays.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tim Gray says ex-girlfriend Lisa Ashpole owes for a loan to retain a divorce attorney and a separate loan to pay her mortgage. Lisa says Tim was attempting to buy her love.
Mr. Gray,
Yes.
I am usually not predisposed to finding that monies paid under these circumstances are gifts. I'm usually predisposed to find that even under these circumstances, there is some obligation to repay money. Because if I find that one person is trying to get over on another, I think there's a certain inequity there. If you care for her more than she cares for you, and she's using that and is sort of bilking you for money, I think that that's an immoral thing, and that shouldn't happen. I don't get the sense of that here, sir. I really don't. What I do is sense, Mr. Gray, that you cared for her. You wanted her not to be stressed. You knew she was hardworking, and she was trying to make ends meet. She wasn't getting much money from her husband, the father of these children, and you wanted to help her because you cared for her. You had checks printed with her address. You planned on moving in to her home. You planned on being a family together. So I don't believe that under those circumstances you would have said to her, this is a loan.
But
I don't believe that that happened, sir. I
I-
believe that when she was sitting on the bed and being very unhappy because she had all of this mounting debt, you, in a very magnanimous way, like a hero, got up, went to the phone, called your Visa, and said, I want you to pay this bill.
that wasn't the way it happened. Your
I
Honor.
think it probably was, Mr. Gray.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things on.
That may be true, sir. That's not what you told me
But I
before.
don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You do if you're in love. You do if you're in love. You say, I want us to be together, and I want us to have a future together, and I don't want you to be stressed, and I want to show you that I can help take care of you, and that's what I'm going to do. And I believe that's what you did, Mr. Gray. And while my rulings usually do not go this way, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I believe that you were being in love and reacting appropriately, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Maybe
You say
I
it was
was.
because of your kids. Maybe it was. But certainly, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I think that in the time that you were together, I think that she probably cared for you. Is that true?
Well, she cared, but she also agreed that she would pay me back.
I don't believe that, Mr. Gray. Your case is dismissed.
Audience are excused. You may step out.
They're just outspoken.
I don't have a problem with outspokenness because I can be very outspoken as well.
She lied to her way and got her way out of it again.
His 16-year-old slapped my 6-year-old and left a big welt on his buttocks. Yeah.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beausoleil versus Bridges. Step forward, please.
Doll artist Carol Beausoleil is suing computer business owner Jeff Bridges for a refund on a computer. Carol says Jeff sold an outdated computer to her minor son.
Miss Beausoleil, where's your son?
He didn't come because he's afraid to go on planes, and he just felt really awkward, and,
How old is he?
17.
He didn't come because he's embarrassed. I can understand why he would be embarrassed under the circumstances of this case.
Oh, okay,
According to
yeah,
your
you're
complaint,
right.
Miss Beausoleil, your son wanted a computer, and he had a friend who worked in a computer store. Two of you discussed it and thought it would be a good idea for him to go to the computer store where his friend works. Are you the friend?
Yes.
For him to buy a computer, a used computer, because he needed it for the internet.
Right.
So he went with his friend to the computer store owned by the defendant and was sold a used computer with a monitor. The whole package was $420?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. And you say the computer crashed at some point and you want your money back.
Yeah.
What date did you sell the boy the computer?
Speaking to me, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your
I'm
Honor?
looking at you, I'm talking to you.
Sorry. I sold it on March 28th of 2002, and it was a used computer system.
Okay. You told him it was used.
Yes, I did.
Did he give you a deposit?
Yes, he gave me a $50 deposit.
Did he take the computer with him?
No, not right away.
So he really bought it on layaway?
Yes.
Now, when your son came home, your son was 17 at the time?
Yeah.
Did you discuss with your son that he had found a computer that he liked and he put a $50 deposit on it?
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So did you go down to the computer store to
Yes.
look at it?
Yep.
You did?
Yep. It looked brand new.
Well, you knew it wasn't brand new. You
No.
knew it was used.
It was a few years old.
When did you take the computer home?
It was about a month after. We brought it home.
Just to answer my questions. Your son isn't here,
Okay.
so I have to do this my way. Mr. Bridges, what date did they take the computer home?
Forgive me. Oh, great. I'm a little nervous. I apologize.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Tuesdays. It's just Tuesday.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Beausoleil says business owner Jeff Bridges sold a worthless computer to her minor son.
Go ahead.
Okay. 328 is what I have.
$328 is the first payment of $50,
Oops,
Mr. Bridges.
I'm sorry. Actually, Your Honor, if I may show these to you, because
Why, if you can't find it, why are you giving it to me? I don't get paid to get tortured, Mr. Bridges.
Well,
she
you know-
says it was a month later, so let's say it was a month later.
Okay,
They
yeah.
made the final payment, you gave them the computer.
Yes.
All right, now, Miss Beausoleil, you now bring the computer home. Who made the last payment, you or your son?
I gave my son the money to go and put down.
All right, after you had already been there to see it.
Right.
Fine.
if I may, Your Honor, she actually came into the store to make the last payment and a check.
Well, you had to bring it in the car. We had, you know,
Oh, so you went and made the last payment.
with my son.
Fine. No, you went. You're the adult. Your
Yeah.
son is a minor. He cannot enter into a
Right,
contract.
Right. Okay.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
If your son had gone in there alone, Mr. Bridges might have had a problem. But your son didn't go there alone. He went there with you, Miss Beausoleil.
Right.
You knew you weren't getting any guarantee with the computer.
Oh, yeah, there's a guarantee. I have a guarantee here.
Let me see it.
And I have this over here that I underlined.
Let's see what the guarantee is. Well, where's the guarantee?
At the very bottom.
It says all repairs are guaranteed for 30 days.
But, I mean, as far as the warranty, too. There's a warranty on it.
Listen, help me out here. Just let her point it to you, Bird. You can point it to me, and then it'll make my life easier.
May I speak?
No.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, he reassured me, I mean, you know, because we were going to have it fixed, and then...
Miss Beausoleil, there was no warranty with this computer. The piece of paper that you gave me said that all repairs done
Okay.
by them are guaranteed for 30 days. You have a document there that does not have a warranty. Is that correct?
Okay, but on the day we picked it up, from that date on, we still had the 30 days.
No! You don't have 30 days. You didn't
Well, you
have a
know,
computer repaired. You bought a computer, a used computer that came without a warranty, which is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's getting harder. Now, you bring the computer home.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when you got it home?
So he set everything up, the technician helped him, and then the system stated it wasn't internet ready, that he needed a lot more RAM. So that was fine. So Linus offered his assistance and added these few things for the computer. And then when I called Jeffrey...
Linus? Is that your name?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's my
Yes
son's
is all
name.
I need from you.
So
So
then
he
I-
came over and he added stuff for the,
Yeah,
for the
which was
computer.
nice. I mean, we
Good.
didn't think there was a problem with the computer. We
Good.
thought
Next.
it just needs a few RAMs. So then I called Mr. Bridges to tell him, and he says, well, you know what, Carol, the new modem, it's in the mail. It hasn't arrived yet, but you can use the one we have. But, you know, I just closed my business. He was open for a month. And I figured, well, we'll
Did
just
it
have him-
work? Listen to me. Did it work after Linus put in the RAMs or doodads or whatever it did? Did it work?
It was
For a day, for 2 days, for 5 days.
It worked for some game procedures, but it was very slow.
I don't care if it was slow or not.
Yeah.
It's an old thing, as my husband
Yeah.
says. You know, when he has a computer and it's more than 6 months old, he says to me, oh, it's a dinosaur. I need a new computer. You know?
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
So what are you complaining about?
Well, when I talked to DSL, they said they couldn't, that we couldn't deal with DSL. So in other words, my son couldn't go on internet. He couldn't go on the internet.
What do you want from me? What do you want from Mr. Bridges? You should have made all of these inquiries before
Oh, we
you bought
did,
the computer. Before you bought the computer. You bought a computer that did not have any warranties whatsoever on it.
Yeah, but he gave me his phone number and said, Carol, if anything goes wrong, just give me a call. So I did. He hung up on me. I had to call the police, and then he did.
What'd you call
bring
the police
motor-
for?
Because he called me a controlling, and he pressed the button. He pressed the button.
So
and it's
you
like,
bothered the police
no,
with that?
No, but it seems like when he sold the computer, and after we had it in our house, oh, well, no big deal. I mean,
That's
of
what
course-
happens. He's a merchant. Miss Bosley, do your homework better the next time. If you buy something that's used, especially a computer, what I suggest you do is, I suggest you read all kinds of magazines, get a hold of Consumer
Yeah.
Reports, get a hold of everything else, and make an informed judgment. When you're buying something used, it's no different from buying it off the street, unless you get a guarantee from someone that they will honor repairing, maintaining it,
Yeah.
or whatever for a
course.
period of time.
Well,
The
yeah.
fact that he went out of business, he doesn't have to stay in business to satisfy you. If he can't make a living, he's entitled to go out of business.
Yeah.
You bought a computer with no recourse because you have no guarantee. And anything that's not in your contract, the fact that he gave you his phone number, you cannot amend a written contract, which is what you have, with an oral statement, call me if you have any problems. That's what everybody says. That's like the check is in the mail. You know, call me with any problems. Ms. Bosley, you should be wise enough.
Common law wife, 25-year-old customer service rep Rebecca Cardisco, for a series of unpaid loans. Rebecca says the money was meant for her children's Christmas gifts.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 193 on the calendar in the matter of Harris versus Cardisco.
Thank you, Bird.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Harris, is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the son that has 2 children with this lady?
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant owes you some money for a series of loans. She and your son, I assume, lived together or were together for a period of time because, according to what I've read, they have 2 children together.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are your grandchildren?
3 and 1. And John also has 2 stepsons, which were Rebecca's children.
Well, they were never married.
No, but he has custody of them.
He has custody of her 2 children that are not his biological children.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have custody of all 4 children. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What is wrong with you? Shh, quiet.
We're going through custody right now.
No. I could understand when you have a custody dispute involving parents, 2 biological parents, judge has to weigh what's in a child's best interest. But when a judge, unless the judge is educated on Jupiter, gives non-biological children to not even a step-parent, because the 2 of you were never married, to somebody else, there has to be something wrong with you. Do you have a drug problem, an alcohol problem?
I did, Your Honor. I did have a drug problem, and he doesn't have full custody of the children. It's going through social services.
Well, but who do they live with 5 days a week?
Right now, him.
Fine. So, and they go to school from his house?
Yes.
So right now he has custody?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you in a drug program?
Yes, I am.
Did you go into a residential program?
When I get back in town, I am.
So you are not now in a residential drug
No, but
program?
I'm in outpatient program right now.
How long were you using drugs?
For 3 years. After I had my daughter, I got in a car wreck and had a lot of back problems.
Oh, everybody has back problems. when everybody becomes addicted to drugs. Okay, tell me about the loans.
Okay, basically met Becky in March of '98 when she was living with another boyfriend in the same complex we did. They broke up and she needed a place to stay, and she finagled her way into my house and lived with us for a couple months, and then her and John started a relationship. Then the first grandchild was born in 9 of '99, and from that point on, it started being just a big con. Every couple months, every couple weeks, she needed this or needed that or needed help with this. Then they broke up for a while, and she had her own apartment and would hold the baby almost hostage. If you want to see your granddaughter, you'll give me this. She had a car wreck in 11 of '99, and that's when she got her back hurt and started taking Vicodin and Zoma and got addicted to them. And then she got pregnant again with my second granddaughter and had her
Also no testament to his good judgment.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was born in March of 2001.
Now, when she lived with you, she also lived with you with her other 2 children.
Yes, ma'am. I supported her and her 2 children then. And then, after the second baby was born, she really got deep into the drugs. She, at one point, had 8 drug felonies on her. 2 of them were where she used my name to get the drugs. And she was actually able to con her way out of those charges. She got something called drug court, where she gets to go in and talk to somebody once a week. And
at what point did they remove the children?
In May of this year.
Were either of the girls born with any sort of drugs in their system?
No, ma'am.
Were either of them tested?
No, ma'am, so there's no way to know for sure.
Where does your son live now, Miss Harris?
My son lives in Fort Collins with the children, and I travel there every day to help him with the children.
Stand there. Who takes care of the children?
Oh, I do. My mother helps.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
How do you support yourself?
Right now, I don't have a place to live. That's why when I go back, I'm going into treatment.
How do you expect her to give you any money?
In July of this year, Becky claimed she got a $50,000 insurance settlement. She went out and bought a new car.
No, I
Did you?
No, I didn't. My grandmother.
Did you get any money?
My grandmother gave me a couple thousand to get me a car so I could get a job.
And what'd you do with the car?
It broke down.
Did you ever tell Miss Harris that you got a settlement for something?
I did tell her I had gotten some money and that I would give her some. I did tell her that. But I didn't have any. And as far as...
You didn't have any what?
I didn't have any money.
So what you told her was a lie?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money do you owe her?
I do owe her money. She did give me money for Christmas. I'm not going to say I don't owe her anything, because I do.
So I'm asking, how much do you owe her?
I don't know for sure. I mean,
how much does she owe you for Christmas?
For Christmas alone, $800. But prior to that, I gave her $500 for rent in November, $500 again rent for January and February, and I even had to take loans out from where I worked for me to survive because I was giving her money.
Did you expect to get that money back?
Yes,
Ms.
I
Harris,
did.
my question is, seriously, did you expect to get that money back from her? And I mean, you can get a judgment, but I'm going to ask you honestly.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is she going to get the money from?
She would actually sit there on the phone in front of me and be talking to the insurance guy. Actually sit there talking to him, but she actually wasn't talking to him. And she was having a conversation with nobody. Yes, I'll come down and get that check. At one point, I mean, several times she was supposed to pick up a check. She had John and I believing she got a $50,000 check. She was throwing money around. She went and got a $150 perm. She gave me a $100 bill one time to thank me for watching her kids because she'd been out of the house for almost 3 months. I actually thought she was getting a settlement. Then I find this letter in the house. She settled for next to nothing in November of 2000.
Let me see.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't tell them that you were settling it. You just wanted the money right away.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I know. But you're doing drugs. You need some money for drugs. Nonsense! Nonsense!
And later today,
if she's the co-signer on a note for your car, then you're supposed to pay for the car.
Right, which I pay her for.
Let's go slowly, Mr. Gaffney. My father didn't raise idiots.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosemary Harris says her son's former common-law wife, Rebecca Cardisco, owes for several unpaid loans. Rosemary claims Rebecca is a drug addict.
So you settled this accident claim despite the fact that you had an attorney. How much did you settle it for?
I think it was around $800. The attorney said that they couldn't get any more, and if they could, it was going to take a long while.
You didn't tell them that you were settling it. You just wanted the money right away.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, I know. That's what you did. You had a lawyer. They got fed up with you because you settled with this company after they had made some expenditures. What? You're doing drugs. You need some money. You need some money for drugs. Look, as far as I can see, she owes you for 3 months' rent and $800 for Christmas. She doesn't know how much she owes you. That's $2,300. Has she, I assume, not given you any child support for the 3 children?
Not as of yet, no.
Have you worked in the last 5 years?
Yes, Your Honor, and he did receive child support last month.
How much?
I gave him $500.
From where?
Between him and his mother.
From where?
I got some money from my grandmother.
From your grandmother?
She gave me some money to give him for the children. He said that he needed it for the children. And I have a
Do
job.
you use drugs or do you sell them occasionally?
I don't do either. I've been clean.
Judge, there is a judgment now. She's supposed to pay $575 a month.
Good. That's what she's supposed to do. Somebody else is taking care of your children. In the meantime, she owes you $2,300. Ms. Cardisco, I wish you good luck in residential treatment. If you want it to be successful, you have to stay there. You can't go in there for 6 weeks, or for 4 weeks, or for 12 weeks and say it's over. You have to stay there. What is it, a year or 18 months? Is that what they want you to stay?
60 days. 60 days.
Nonsense! Nonsense! Bert and I were in family court between us for more years than you're alive. And no residential program where you just go for 60 days is going to keep you off drugs permanently. You have to go into a drug-free environment for a long time. You've been on drugs for at least 3 years. Don't kid yourself. 60 days is not going to do it. 30 days is not going to do it. You have to do it. You have children. You made children. They need you. Do you get it? They need you. Stay with it. Find the right place and stay there. You're a young woman. How old?
25.
25. Got a lot of years ahead. They can be miserable. You can have a miserable life or you can have a happy life. You still have another 50 years of happiness or you have 50 years of misery. Choice is yours. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Becky's nothing but a con.
I do have problems and I have issues, but they're not any better than I am. Any better.
I'm the primary caregiver because Becky's a drug addict.
I never kept her grandchildren from her. I was afraid she was going to try to take off or do something with them. I didn't know what she's capable of. I mean, she just made me look like an idiot in there.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gaffney versus Gaffney. Step forward.
Sunday school teacher Betty Gaffney is suing her son, 23-year-old Bill Gaffney, for stealing money from her bank account. Bill says he only took enough to make his car payment.
Mrs. Gaffney, the defendant is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that your son took your ATM card, which you gave him, along with your PIN number.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason you gave him your bank card was to make a withdrawal for money for a prescription for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And he took the card, he got the prescription filled, and then he proceeded over a period of time to clean out your bank account.
Yes, ma'am.
Your son says he just took money for a car payment, a couple of $100s. Why did you need your son to pick up the prescription for you, and when did this happen?
On the 15th of February, I had surgery prior to that, and I could not drive the car because the cast was on my right leg. So he took me to the doctor, and then when we got back, I had a prescription, so I asked him to go fill it, and I gave him my ATM card. He came back.
You gave him your ATM card, but you also had to give him a PIN number.
Yes, ma'am. I gave him my PIN number.
Had he ever had the PIN number before?
Not on this card because we changed it to make it simpler to remember, but prior to him getting married and moving out, he did run errands for us, and I never had any problems with him whatsoever.
Great.
On that day, I felt really uncomfortable when he came back, so I kind of slid the card underneath some papers on the breakfast bar.
So he returned the card to you?
Yes, ma'am, he did. And then...
How much was the prescription?
It was about $15.
Okay.
He went on about his business, and my husband asked me we only had one card at that time. My husband asked me a couple of days later where the ATM card was, and I couldn't find it. Thinking it was the medication I was on that I couldn't remember, I just said, I'll find it, I'll find it. Then a couple of weeks later, my husband asked me to transfer money. I called and they said there was only like $59 in the bank. I said, something's wrong. And I called the bank back and found all these withdrawals that I knew that we had not done because we didn't have a card.
Over what period of time, from the 15th of February, to what date were these withdrawals made from your account?
Through the 25th.
Of February?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can you tell me what proof you have that it was your son that made these withdrawals?
I had the loss prevention department at the credit union, knowing the ones that I had not done through my checkbook, I had them to pull pictures from the ATM cameras. The first ones that I asked for...
Can I just have that envelope, please? All right, Mr. Gaffney, you say in your answer that you'd filled your mom's prescription, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
And that you also took out money for car payment.
Right, which I gave to her because it's co-signed, so it was the car payment money that comes out of her account. I just don't want to give it to her until I got paid from work in order to give it back to her because she was wanting my money for the car payment.
Mr. Gaffney, that was a lot of double talk. If she's the co-signer on a note for your car, then you're supposed to pay for the car.
Right, which I pay her for it.
Let's go slowly, Mr. Gaffney. My father didn't raise idiots. I assume she's not paying for your car. Is that right?
Well, actually, the last 6 months we have had to pay for the car and the insurance.
Why?
Because he was not working and he was not...
What about in February?
I don't remember about the car payment in February. It's been quite a while that we have been making the car payments.
So you took out how much from the bank to make the car payment?
$300.
What'd you do with the money?
I gave her back $200 of it.
How much is the car payment?
$220.
Well, you withdrew $300. What'd you do with the other $80?
Probably spent it on groceries, something like that, because it wasn't working.
Well, did you tell her about that?
No, I didn't tell her about the $300 I took out either until later when she asked me about it.
Oh, but that's all you said you took out, and that was all on the same day, is that right?
Correct.
That was all on the 15th of February, that you took out $300 that you never told her about, and the $15 for the prescription.
Right.
Is that right? So if there were pictures here that show you taking out money from her ATM after the 15th of February, these pictures would be mistaken. Is that right?
Could be.
I don't understand what that means, Mr. Gaffney. Could be. You never saw these pictures before, is that right?
Correct.
So what you're telling me is, sir, that if I were to look at these pictures and it showed, let's say, that on the 20th of February, you're using her ATM card, then that might refresh your recollection that you did, in fact, use the ATM card.
She could have went, because she was on my account, she could have went and got pictures of me using my own ATM card.
No, the bank is only sending pictures, sir, of transaction when you are using her ATM card.
Well, if she's got pictures, I'd like to see them because I don't
So
believe
is it possible, sir, before I look at these pictures, is it possible, sir, that you used the ATM card, hers, at a time after February 15th?
Not to my recollection.
Well, I want you to think hard, sir. I mean, it's much easier, Mr. Gaffney, for you to say to me, listen, my family was in a difficult position. I didn't have any money. I took back the ATM card, and I took out another $1,000 or whatever it was. I needed it. I needed it for groceries. I needed it to feed myself and my family. It was a mistake. It was the wrong thing to do. That's an answer. If it's not true, then it's not true. Then I'll look.
True.
It's not true. You never used it after that.
Nope.
Well, you used it on the 18th.
How many pictures does she have of me? Just one?
I'm asking you, sir. I see. Are you chewing gum?
No, I'm not chewing gum.
You mean it's just a nervous tick that you have?
Must be.
Uh-huh. Fresh mouth. He used it on the 18th. He stole money from his mother on the 18th. He stole money from his mother on the 24th. He stole money from his mother on the 25th. Well, at least on those occasions I can actually see it. Some of the pictures are a little bit blurry, but on those occasions he actually did.
Your
Listen,
Honor.
does he have children?
One on the way.
There's one on the way.
Yes, ma'am.
So
The credit union told me that...
you can't tell me what the credit
I'm
union
sorry.
told you. That's hearsay.
Well, I have a letter from them. He'd covered the... You can see where he was covering the cameras.
Oh, I see where the camera is covered on certain days when your
And the first-
card is being used, but on certain days he wasn't smart enough. Can I see the statement that you have from the
Yes,
bank?
ma'am.
Thank you. Does your son use drugs?
I don't believe so. I
Good.
do know that he was drinking quite a bit. He makes a lousy drunk.
You must have gotten very frustrated.
Must get it
with
from
him.
you then.
He hasn't worked for at least 6 months?
Yes, ma'am.
To collect unemployment insurance?
I told him that he needed to go down and apply, and he never did, so
Why
he
is
didn't
that?
get it.
Because I didn't get fired, I quit my job. I just walked out and I just didn't
Why?
go down there. Because they weren't supporting me and they wanted me to work 90 hours a week and get paid for 40. So I got tired of it after about 3 months and walked.
I can understand your frustration, sir. but I had a very, very wise grandmother who used to say to me, you don't throw out the dirty water until you have clean, especially when you have a family to take care of so that you don't have to steal from your mother. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,082. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Gotcha.
She keeps talking about these photos, but
Erica Chandler is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Erickson, for money owed from a botched eBay sale and for damaging her car while trying to park.
All rise. This is case number 99 on the calendar in the matter of Chandler versus Erickson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Chandler, Mr. Erickson used to be your boyfriend. Did you ever live together?
No, we talked about it but never acted on it.
Your complaint is threefold. You sort of got the whole kitchen sink here.
Yeah.
Wanted to get everything off your chest now that the romance is over. I understand that. Not necessarily sympathetic yet, but I understand it. About a year ago, Mr. Erickson asked you to sell something for a family friend on your eBay account. And what he asked you to sell was supposedly a rare coin. You sold it, and the person who purchased it complained that it was a fake. They had already received the coin. There was a charge back to your account. So you were out $800 and some odd dollars. Is that right?
That's correct.
That was a year ago, June.
Right.
Subsequently, you opened up a joint bank account with him. But neither he nor this family member ever paid you back this $800.
Right.
Why not?
He had promised to pay me the money. When he had the money, he barely had a job.
Barely had a job, and you opened up a joint bank account with him? Why?
It was to make money, Your Honor. It was to sell items on eBay for my aunt. I agreed to go into it with him.
Why?
In order to pay back some of the money from the coin with the items that we sold on eBay.
He had no job. It was your aunt's property, your money. Why would you open a joint account with him?
Because he would have been able to help me like package the stuff and get the stuff ready to go, and which would have been worth money. So I agreed to open the bank account for him so that, or with him, so that I wouldn't get caught in case something like that happened again.
Miss Chandler, I don't think so. I think you opened up a joint bank account with him because you were smitten with him.
It was strictly for eBay, Your Honor. We didn't have any other money go into there other than stuff for eBay.
Well, that's interesting because the second cause of action that you have is for some sort of overdrawn check that he put in the account.
Right. That was for my aunt's check bounce, the one that I wrote to her for the items that she'd given us to put on eBay, you know, because we were only taking a percentage to sell it for her. And so my aunt's check bounced. And
what does that have to do with him?
Because he was on the account with me. And the reason that it bounced was because of him. He is the only person that took money out of that account.
So what you're saying to me is, Miss Chandler, that this checking account that you had was to be used for eBay, but he used it for other things.
Right, which I wasn't aware of because
That's what happens, Miss Chandler, when you open up a joint checking account with somebody. That's why I'm saying to you.
I want you to understand that I'm not suing for any of the money that was in the checking account.
So what are you suing for?
The only thing that I'm suing for is that it is negative now, close to $500, which I am partially liable for, and
Absolutely.
I didn't make any of the charges. I have all the documentation right here.
Listen to me. Then you are asking the court to find him responsible for that $500 negative balance.
Right, which he caused.
Well, I'm saying to you, you're asking me to go back, look at this joint bank account, which either of you can take money out of and either of you can put money into, and say who put money in and who took money out. And I'm not prepared to do that.
They're all charges from him.
So?
I just don't feel that I should be responsible for a negative balance that he solely caused. And he told me that this was after the fact because he told me that he took my name off the account. The negative balance only happened after we broke up.
Different story. When did he tell you he took your name off the account?
Let's see, the 9th month, September.
Mr. Erickson?
Never said that, Your Honor.
Were you no longer together in September?
That's correct.
Well, then why would you have a joint bank account with her?
We never closed the account together, Your Honor. That's
Well,
all.
then, Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
if you were no longer together after September of 2005, and the withdrawals that were made were yours,
The majority
after September of 2005,
after September, I never used it, Your Honor.
show me, after September.
From here on, Your Honor, all the highlighting in pink is all from his card. You can just flip to the pages there. And I had no idea.
Shh.
Is my name on that, Your Honor?
No, but the card number is.
Right, but I'm saying it could be her number.
If you flip to the beginning, Your Honor, there was one charge that I made while we were still together, which will be highlighted in yellow, which will show my card number. It should be for the amount of $100.
You have two totally different card numbers.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so you took all this money out for whatever. You went to McDonald's, you bought something for $2, you put it on this thing. You had an ATM withdrawal, cash withdrawal, $20. Cash withdrawal, $927. On your card, sir, $461. So you used this card after the two of you broke up?
Yes.
Okay, so why should she be responsible for that?
She used it too, Your Honor. And most of the money we made on eBay.
No, she didn't use it at all after September.
Okay, Your Honor. But what I'm saying is the stuff we sold on eBay, $70 of that was the stuff that she brought in. Everything else, I brought in. I sold on eBay, I shipped it, everything. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying to you is if you broke up in September, I believe her when she said you're going to take her name off the account so that she's not responsible for it anymore. That sounds logical. And your negative balance now is $500. Let's talk about this coin collection. Did you ask her to sell this coin collection
Yes,
for
I
you?
did, and it was on her account.
Yes, I know that it was on her account.
Yes.
And it turned out to be a fake. Your defense to that is she should have been smart enough to have it authenticated.
That's right, Your Honor. She should have taken it to a coin shop before we sold it and got verification.
Why didn't you do that?
It wasn't on my account, Your Honor. I wanted her to sell it on eBay. She should have had the, decency to do it herself.
Who was this friend that you got the coin from?
Friend of my mom's.
Name!
Marianne.
Shh, just a second. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, sir. Is she still alive?
Yes, she is.
Good. You pay for it, and then you sue her and say, I've been forced to make this payment, and you have to pay me.
Okay.
Instead of standing there and just looking pretty. You got to have something up here. Beauty fades, dumb as forever, Mr. Erickson.
Yes, Your Honor.
Works as well for boys as it does for girls.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't think that you seriously anticipated that he was going to pay you to have this car fixed. And if you did, then you were operating in fantasy land.
And later today,
I can tell the difference between a made-up story and a story that has the ring of truth to it. What she just told me has the ring of truth to it. Do you understand?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erica Chandler claims ex-boyfriend Andrew Erickson owes for a botched eBay sale and for damage to her car.
Now, the last part of your lawsuit, Ms. Chandler, says that he damaged your car while you were together. You want to tell me about that?
Yes.
When was it?
That would have been March 4th of 2005. He told me, Your Honor, that
He damaged your car in March of 2005, and if he didn't pay you for it, I wouldn't have sold the coin for him in June. I wouldn't have opened up a joint bank account for him in July. I would have shown him his walking papers.
I understand, Your Honor, but he said he was going to take it to a friend of his to
He
have
didn't
it
do it, and he didn't do it March, April, May, June. If he didn't do it in 4 months, then you don't do him another favor and sell a coin for him. And if he didn't do it March, April, May, June, July, you don't open up a joint bank account with him unless you're smitten. And if you're smitten, that means you... so he damaged the car a little bit. Mr. Erickson, your defense is that she should have had insurance, and if she didn't have insurance, she asked me to drive her someplace, and she should have used her insurance, so it's not my problem. If that's what you say. You know, you really should consider yourself very lucky. I don't know whether he means this answer to be a reflection of his character. If he does, you're very lucky that he's not in your life anymore.
He uses
If he doesn't mean it, he shouldn't have said it to be flip. But meanwhile, I don't think that you seriously anticipated that he was going to pay you to have this car fixed. And if you did, then you were operating in fantasy land.
The reason, Your Honor, that I didn't turn it into my insurance and I didn't take care of it right away is because I had a $1,000 deductible on my car, and I knew that it wasn't going to be $1,000 to fix that. And I didn't have the money to fix it.
So, is it fixed now?
No, it is not.
And you're still driving the car?
Yes.
15 months later?
Yes, I'm waiting for him to pay me.
He's not. He's not going to pay you. So you know how you've looked at the scratch on the car for the last 15 months? You're going to continue to look at the scratch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,381. Mr. Erickson, one of these days, someone is going to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there to sort of give you a wink. You have to do the right thing in this world, otherwise things come back and bite you in the behind. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Not always. May not happen tomorrow. May not happen the next day, but I'm telling you this, Mr. Erickson, it has been my life experience that when you don't do the right thing and treat people fairly, eventually it comes back to get you. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He just uses people.
I think she's just a sad individual.
He's sleeping with men right now for money,
Oh, God. No, that's not true.
and he's not even gay.
She was sleeping with me when she was with her boyfriend.
Last time Mr. Erickson and I met, he tried to beat me and burn me with a cigarette.
He called me talking crap, and I went over there.
And he was drunk, and he was flailing like a stroke victim.
Be careful who you trust.
he's not exactly the type you take home to mom.
Stay away from, well, I wouldn't say women in general, but try to pick them better.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Benedict versus Campbell Peterson. Step forward, please.
22-year-old former nanny, Carrie Benedict, is suing former employers, 20-year-old Allie Campbell and her husband David Peterson, for unpaid wages.
Ms. Benedict, your claim is that the defendants owe you money for work that you did for them in the capacity of a nanny for their one-year-old child.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendants say that while you did, in fact, work for them for a very short period of time, your agreement was that the first week that you worked there would be a free week, which means you would not get paid for it. That's your defense. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you answer an ad that they put in the paper, or did they answer an ad that you put in the paper?
I had found them on gonannies.com on the internet and responded and sent them an email regarding.
So you posted your ad on gonannies.com? Is that a website?
We had 2 ads posted, one on GoNannies and one on enannies.com.
Okay, when did you post the ad?
Back in March.
Do you have a copy of it?
No, I don't.
Do you?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall what it said?
It said that we were looking for a nanny for...
Because that's a whole long thing. Do you remember what the ad said?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did it say?
It had regarding their occupation and that she was a model and he was a business entrepreneur. They were an active family. They needed somebody that could be flexible in their hours and be active with their child. That it was $500 a week and that any hours worked more than 40 would be compensated.
So you answered the ad?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have a face-to-face meeting prior to starting work?
Yes, we did have a formal interview.
When was that?
It was about a week before I started.
Give me the date, please.
I don't have the...
Do you have the date?
We met with her on March 22nd.
Where?
At our home.
Okay. What are your work hours?
I am a wedding consultant. I work from, depending on when the weddings are, I work for...
Weddings are usually in the evening?
Yes, it is. I work till about 2 a.m.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a marketing director for K Designers. So I'm a salesman, basically.
And you work during the day?
During the day and some evenings, because I'm on appointments, so...
Fine. Who were taking care of the baby before?
We had a nanny before, and she moved out of state, and so I was looking for a new one. My mom did help when she could.
What was the name of the previous nanny?
Carolee.
How long did she work for you?
She worked for us for about a month.
Prior to that, who took care of the baby?
My mom.
So it's a fair statement that you've only had one nanny, according to you, for a month.
Yes.
So Carolee came to work for you and then moved?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Right. You know anything about that, Miss Benedict?
Yes, Your Honor, I actually do. During that interview, they had said that young girl named Carolee, she was flying from Oregon, that she had found her on GoNannies.com as well, and they wanted to have the opportunity to interview her too, and initially they weren't going to hire me, they hired her. She was there over the weekend, and they fired her, and that's why I was called, because Allie told me that the nanny that they had from Oregon had boy issues that they were not aware of, and she went back to Oregon.
So when you went for the interview on March 22nd, take your hands out of your pockets. When you went for the interview on March 22nd, you were told that they were going to interview this other girl from Oregon as well?
Yes, ma'am.
That's when you were told about it?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the other girl got the job?
Yes, Your Honor.
On March 22nd or March 23rd?
Yes, Your Honor.
When were you called to say that you got the job?
I was called at 10:30 a.m. Tuesday, March 28th, and I started at 11:30 a.m.
You're Miss Campbell?
Yes.
I want to tell you something. I don't want you to play with me. See, I can tell the difference between a made-up story and a story that has the ring of truth to it. What she just told me has the ring of truth to it. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I hardly believe a word that comes out of your mouth, Miss Campbell. I don't think you'd know the truth if it came up and slapped you in the face.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nanny Carrie Benedict claims former employers Allie Campbell and David Peterson owe for unpaid wages. The couple says Carrie was an irresponsible caretaker.
Now, who worked for you between the 22nd of March and the 27th of March?
We didn't have a nanny between then. I interviewed this girl from Oregon who I did not like, and she did not get the job.
Well, you just told me that Carolee worked for you. I'm
speaking.
You just told me that she worked for you for a month.
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Which month?
She worked for me between February and March.
February what?
She worked for me between February 6th, and she left March 10th.
And are you telling me that nobody watched your child between the 22nd of March and the 28th of March?
My mom did.
All right, Miss Benedict. You worked from 3/28 until what date?
Your Honor, I quit April 5th.
Why?
because I was disrespected and yelled at for an absolutely ridiculous reason that was not my responsibility. And
when?
It was that Wednesday, just that same day. Miss Campbell had called me, yelling at me, that the child had stayed the night at my home, and she was yelling at me because I didn't have the baby at her home and demanded that I bring her home in a half an hour because David had a court case and that she wanted to go with him. And I said, well, there was no communication.
What kind of court case did you have, David?
My little girl was beat up by her, and I was going to court. It was basically protective order case, my little girl.
So you had a court case?
Yes.
And Miss Campbell was accompanying you to the court case?
Yes.
Why did the baby have to be home if Miss Campbell was going with you to court? David?
Well, we wouldn't bring the baby to a court case.
Well, then why did she have to come home?
Why did who have to come home?
The baby.
I think we're talking about different dates here.
I'm talking about April 5th, when, according to Miss Benedict, Miss Campbell called her and said, bring the baby home because David has a court case. We have to leave. Is that the conversation?
Yes, sir.
So my question is, why would Miss Campbell need the baby to go to your court case?
Well, because if we're going to be gone for the afternoon, someone needs to be watching her, and she was supposed to have her back at 10, so we'd already arranged with her mother to take over at that point. So she needed to be with another sitter.
All right, fine. So let me just understand this, so I get it straight. You're saying, see, I'm not asking her any questions.
Right.
I'm asking you the questions.
Okay.
Miss Campbell told Miss Benedict to bring the child home because you had a court case and her mother was going to come to take care of the baby so that the two of you could go to the court case. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're sure about that?
Well, it wasn't that she was coming to take care of her. We're going to take her to her mother's.
Okay, so the two of you were going to drive her to her mother's house
Before I went to court.
before you went to court.
Correct.
That's the reason why, is that right?
That's the reason why.
I want you to read what I have underlined here, sir. That's the response to this lawsuit. What does it say there?
This caused Kinsey to miss a doctor's appointment?
Yes. Give it back to me.
Okay.
That's not true, is it? It wasn't a doctor's appointment that was at issue here. It was you're going to court, according to you, and taking the baby over to her mother's house so that her mother could watch the baby.
These are two separate instances, though.
Really?
There was an instance where she needed her shots and was unable to get them and did miss a doctor's appointment. And then the last one where she got fired was when, we missed a court case because she didn't bring the child back when she said she would, and we were unable to reach her for 2 hours.
It became clear to me that Carrie was too responsible to be our nanny. Therefore, I fired her that day, April 3rd.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Listen, I don't know why I'm torturing these people anymore. When somebody works for you, they get paid. You work, you do weddings, you get paid. You work, you do whatever you do, you get paid. Somebody doesn't work for you for a week for nothing. And if you have your mother as a free babysitter, that's just great. But when you hire somebody, there's no slavery in this country anymore. Ridiculous. Your defense is stupid. And I don't believe you about this other nanny that you had, allegedly for a month, allegedly who went back to someplace else. I hardly believe a word that comes out of your mouth, Miss Campbell. I don't think you'd know the truth if it came up and slapped you in the face. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. House builder Sean Ward and his fiancée, 24-year-old accountant Michelle Price. Donna says while visiting the couple's home, Sean assaulted her. Sean and Michelle are countersuing for filing false charges.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 106 on the calendar in the matter of Ward versus Price Ward. Price has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Ward, the defendant is your son, and the co-defendant is his fiancée or girlfriend.
Right.
You have children together,
Yes, ma'am. Not together. I have a son and she has a daughter.
but they live with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your complaint very carefully, Mrs. Ward. This is your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you claim that your son assaulted you in his home, and that his fiancée was present, and while there's no claim that she assaulted you, she did nothing to prevent it.
Correct.
I don't know why you're standing up as a plaintiff, just to give moral support to your wife, sir?
Well, not only moral support, but I was there also because I wanted to stop the situation with my
You
boy.
were there on the evening of this alleged
Yes, I
assault
was.
with your wife?
Yes, I was.
Why were you and your wife at your son's home?
Okay, my wife had called my son up. She wanted to talk to him. This is through a prior conversation she'd been trying to deal with him for a while.
About what, Mrs. Ward?
Go ahead.
About the TV and the VCR.
Tell me about the TV and the VCR.
My son and his wife then were having problems. Sean had sold everything in his house. He didn't have a good job like he does now. I mean, he was doing work, piecework.
Just a second. I read your complaint very carefully. Let me see if I can make this, because this is just a background to the story.
Okay.
Your son came to live with you for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
He was supposed to pay you rent, $50 a week.
Right.
He didn't pay you the rent.
No, ma'am. I did pay. Okay.
You claimed he didn't pay you the rent. And you said, when you move, you'll leave me the TV and the VCR for the rent. And then when he moved out, he took the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason you and your husband went over there that night was to take back the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me what happened when you got there.
They were eating dinner. So we went in the living room while they was eating and watched TV. The children were there too, eating. They got done, came in and gave us a hug, you know, and Michelle was getting them ready for bed. And so Sean said, well, you're here, what do you want to talk about? And I said, the TV and VCR. He said, I knew that's what it was going to be about. And he stood up. He says, I do not owe you anything, Mom, nothing, and I want you out of the house. Well, I have a book right here where I kept notes, and his signature is on it. And I said, son, I have proof. I opened the book. And that's when he stood up and got very angry at me and told me to, I don't want the words he said, to get out.
Get out of the house.
And actually, I didn't really believe him. I mean, he's my baby son, and I believe in his
Just
word.
a minute. So he told you to leave his house at least twice?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
And I said, you're kidding, Sean. He said, I'm not kidding. Baba. He said some other words. And I said, then I'll go up and get it myself. I know I can't. Look at me, how much I weigh. I knew I couldn't get it myself.
Where was your husband during all this time?
Can I speak? I was in the living room.
So you were in the living room. So your
Yes.
wife was going to go upstairs and take the TV and the VCR. That's what she said she was going to do anyway.
That's correct.
So she started up the stairs, and what happened? Mrs. Ward?
Well, as she proceeded to start upstairs, first of all, I was shocked on the whole situation, the anger he threw at his mother. As I seen this anger, I just kind of looked at him and said, you know, you shouldn't talk to your mother that way because she is your mother, irregardless, you know, what she says or does. She proceeded to go upstairs. I went with her upstairs to slow her down and said, honey, I think we might as well go ahead and leave. And she says, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here till he either gives me the VCR and the TV. And at that point, he says, well, I'm going to call the sheriff. She said, well, go ahead and call the sheriff. And he just got angry at that point. He says, well, the heck with it. As I was proceeding to hold her back a little bit from proceeding upstairs, then he turned around and got angry and turned around and says, well, by God, I'll get her out. Then he jerked her off the step, holding onto the steps, threw her on his back. I told him, do not hurt your mother. He says, oh, I'm going to put her out if that's the only way I can get her out. Then I heard a big old thud in the living room, and I come running in there. She had hit the floor. I don't know if he dropped her or what happened. She was really hurt, and at that time she was speechless. She was shocked, and she says, I am going on my own. You don't need to manhandle me anymore.
Incorrect.
So he proceeded to pick her up by the arm, straight up, head on out the door, all the way to the car, slammed her into the car. She hit her head on the door as she went in. And at that time, he just said, "This is where you're going to stay. Get out of here." So that's as far as it went. Why I didn't do anything. People says, "Well, why didn't you get a pipe and hit him over the head?" First of all, he's my son. I do love him. I love my wife both. They're trying to make a choice so quickly, and I'm not really much of a match to go jumping ahead and start doing something to my son again to his house. So there's a lot of thoughts had to go through my head. And
Was your wife drinking that day?
No, she was not.
She had anything to drink of an alcoholic nature. Just
No,
make sure.
she doesn't.
She don't drink. She might drink a little something. It wasn't alcohol that
Okay,
had
so
anything to do with
this was not alcohol related. She was in total control of her senses
It was drug
when she
induced.
came to your house. Is that right?
Drug-induced, not alcoholic.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That was part of the deal.
Deal, Schmiel, listen to
I
me.
gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
And later today,
The relationship was quite expensive.
He gave me a promise ring.
She was constantly asking for money.
He promised to marry me.
I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You take prescription medication?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Now, you have photographs of your injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them. The marks that I see on your arms are consistent with being picked up by your arms.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your injury.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I'm going to let you tell me your side of the story, Mr. Ward.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, the case is dismissed for all purposes against Miss Price because she did not participate in this,
Correct.
other than to stand by and do nothing, which is the same thing you did, Mr. Ward. She's not even married to him. You're married to her. Why would you sue Miss Price?
Because I felt like, just like he did, tried to get Sean to calm down, I was hoping that maybe she...
Your
I don't
husband
know.
didn't come to your defense. Why would a stranger?
Not for me, for her husband. I thought maybe she would ask Sean to stop. I mean... That's all.
She's not a party to this case.
Okay.
So, tell me your version of the events. Your mother came to get...
Yes,
your mother
ma'am.
came?
My mother came to the house. I had paid them $100 a week instead of the $50 that she was agreed on to pay. So therefore, she knew the TV was paid for. She let me take it on wheel out the house. The only reason that I had any confrontation with her at all, because both my 5- and 6-year-old kids were standing in the living room, that she had asked for them to be present. I thought maybe she had a health problem that she was getting ready to tell us about. And when she did come up with that situation, I did get angry, but I did stand up and ask them both to leave. I opened both the doors, and I said, well, y'all need to leave. And I might have said it a little meaner, to get out of my house.
Right.
They would not leave.
Ultimately, you picked her up and put her out of the house.
Yes, ma'am, I picked her up off the steps.
And that's what the marks are on her arm.
That possibly could be.
All right. This part of the case is pretty easy. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, you are not entitled to any damages. You entered his home with his permission.
Exactly.
Then he asked you to leave. You refused to leave. At that point, you are trespassing on his property. He asked you to leave again. You still would not leave. The law permits him, as I'm sure the judge told you in court when you were there on the criminal case, that he has the right to use reasonable force. Can't shoot you. He can't stab you. But he can physically take you and move you out of his property, which is exactly what he did. Now, the fact that I don't understand why you are there trying, if your son is finally back on his feet, and he's now got a good job, and he's got a home, and he's got 2 kids that he's taking care of, why in the world you would make a big deal out of a television set and an old VCR, I haven't a clue. But I'm not going into that.
Okay.
Because there's no logical reason why you would go to his house and create a scene with 2 children there to get back a TV and a VCR that you think was owed to you for rent.
I did not. I let the children go upstairs. I've asked him without the children being around.
I don't know why you would ask for it at all.
Because, ma'am, that was part of the deal. It showed
Deal, Schmiel, listen to me.
I gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
I know, and I'm his mom. I did not want to do this.
Well, you shouldn't have done
Sean knows in his heart that he said, I believed in his word. And
Mrs. Ward,
yes, ma'am.
how many children do you have?
I have 7.
If your child has not been doing well for a while, as you said he hasn't been, he'd been in and out of your house, and he was finally, according to you, finally got a good job and back on his feet, what mother in her right mind would say, now I'm going to take the television set that you watch and the VCR that you watch or that the children watch in their room? There's no excuse. You could talk from today till tomorrow. I have children.
I know.
And for $250, you went to the house to make a scene?
No, ma'am, I did not intend to make any kind of
Of course
scene.
you did. Because
No,
once
ma'am.
he said to you, I'm here for the TV and the VCR, and he said, I don't want to talk about it
I
now,
only
please
started
leave, then you decided to go upstairs and you said, I'm going to take it myself. That's creating a scene.
I didn't think that I was very smart, Your Honor.
Fine,
But he had
good.
gotten a big, huge television, and I figured that he knew we were down. That TV would have helped us. We were down, and there was nobody helping us.
Stop it. Now, your children aren't supposed to help you. You're supposed to help them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You were arrested for assault,
Yes, ma'am.
and those charges were dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that they were dismissed, Mr. Ward, because they ultimately determined that you had the legal right to put your mother off the property.
Correct on
Is
her
that
own
right?
testimony. I didn't even have to testify.
Right. You can't sue her.
Right.
Here, you can't sue her.
Correct.
The district attorney determined that there was sufficient evidence to go to trial with because your mother had your fingerprint marks on her arms.
Correct.
Why she proceeded that far, I don't know, but she did. So you have no right to sue her for false arrest because you did, in fact, put your hands on her. You weren't in fear of your life from your mother. You weren't in fear of life, and certainly not from
No,
your
ma'am.
father because he didn't do anything.
No, ma'am. I intended no harm, and due respect to you and her, I do love my mother. Only thing I have here is the bills that I had to pay, my lawyer bills,
You
and
shouldn't have put your hands on your mother.
then been out.
You shouldn't have put
You're
your-
absolutely
You
correct,
shouldn't have
ma'am.
put your hands on your mother. Pay your own bills.
I was looking forward
Case
to
is
my
dismissed,
kids.
that's all.
All these are excused. You may step out.
I have always believed in his word, and you can't stand by your word. What else do you have?
He's upset with the fact that he's fighting with his mother, which no person wants to be, and I just wish it would all be over with.
I would like us to be a family. I don't know if that's possible.
What I wanted was just my name to be cleared, and that happened. So I'm very happy about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave the loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September,
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and
I wasn't speaking to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship. The relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes, yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the
relationship? Yes, I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
we started as friends, and I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered
that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would, I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes. When did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll, if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting for the defense.
Finally, finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him and calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is no defense.
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we're together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is so hard to understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No, he isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes, he told my sister-in-law here.
He's not asking for it. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, if you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed and I'd like to rip...
25-year-old student Katara Stewart for the cost of her wedding dress, her engagement ring setting, and an unpaid loan.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 196 on the calendar in the matter of Kleiser versus Stewart. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Thanks, Bert. Mr. Kleiser, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. The wedding was called off because Miss Stewart had a change of heart, I gather. And you want certain things returned. A loan that you allegedly made to her. A wedding dress that was purchased, I assume, with your money. And the setting for her engagement ring, because you had a diamond that she previously owned, set by a jeweler. I assume she still has the ring.
That's correct.
All right, let's deal with simple things first. How much was the wedding dress?
It was $2.99, and there was a garment bag that cost $10.
Now, who paid for that?
That was on my credit card.
So you're still paying for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get the wedding dress physically from the store?
Yes, we did.
Who returned it to the store?
I returned it to the store.
Is that what you wanted him to do, return it to the store?
Yeah, he took it. He said he wanted it back, and he was going to return it for credit. And he wanted me to take the credit. But
that sounds right.
I didn't return it. He took it back.
Well, what were you going to do with it?
I wasn't going to do anything with it. I wanted him to take it back.
Fine, then you have to pay for it. The wedding dress is your responsibility. If you changed your mind, there was certainly, if he had gotten it to... If he had gotten a tuxedo for the wedding, and he called off the wedding, and the tuxedo was put on your credit card, do you think that it would have been right, would be right for you to pay for his tuxedo?
Well, if I kept the dress, I could understand that I would need to pay
No, you're not
for
going to keep the dress. You're going to get a credit. So the next time you decide to get married, you can go and buy a new dress and pick out a new dress at the same place where you picked out this dress.
Okay, but I
Do you
have
understand?
no, I have no
what?
plans to get married, so I
Well, I
don't
want to explain
need it.
something to you. Does the place that make wedding dresses also make tuxedos?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't be coy with me.
They do.
They make wedding dresses and bridesmaids' dresses and mother of the bride's dresses. So the likelihood of him getting married in a bridal dress are much less likely than you're getting married again and choosing another wedding dress. That be reasonable? You owe him $309. Now, let's take care of the setting on the ring. She used her own diamond. Is there any reason why you didn't buy her a diamond?
She offered to put it into a wedding band. That way it would save some money.
Fine, well, that sounds like a very good idea. And you paid how much for that?
$250 for the ring, and then for the labor to set it, it was $50.
Where's the ring?
I didn't bring it with me.
Fine, this is what I want you to do. Take the diamond out of the ring and give him back the gold in 5 days. You owe him $309. I'm taking off $25 because the most somebody's going to charge you to take out the stone is $25.
Okay. Now, so then do I get that credit for the bridal store, the $300 credit?
Oh, yeah, he's going to give you the credit. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You have it with you?
I have it right here.
Perfect. Give it to her.
There it is.
So now we're easy with that. Take care of those two things. Wedding dress and setting. Now let's get to the loan. Talk to me.
She had asked me to put a computer on my credit card. The credit card was Best Buy. They had no interest.
Were you living together or just?
We were just dating at the time.
Okay, go ahead.
There was also a camera put on the same thing. She didn't have the credit herself, so I put it all on the
Camera for?
She wanted a Canon camera. It was also with no interest financing. It was something she wanted. So I put everything on the credit card, and we had agreed on a certain amount to pay off every month.
No, tell me about it.
Agreement was
look at me.
Every month she would make payments basically on the 15th of each month. The total amount would be about $130. She made one payment in March. Everything sort of happened with the wedding being called off, and that sort of put an end to all that, and then she decided that everything was just basically a gift.
Now, you see how quiet you've been? Let's hear about the computer.
Okay, the computer, I had a little laptop computer that wasn't compatible with any of the printers because the UB...
Don't tell me about computers and things that they exchange back and forth. I don't understand that.
He had said that I should get a new computer, and I told him I couldn't afford a new computer. I was going to school, and so he had been looking at the Best Buy ads, and he said right now that there was zero financing, and he had purchased a TV, I believe, at the zero financing, and he said we should go look at them. And so we went and looked at them, and they were, you know, they had good deals on them, but I couldn't afford it, and he knew that. I told him I couldn't afford it. I'm a single mom, I'm going to school, and he said, don't worry about it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe she doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
And later today,
the phone rings, and I pick it up, and she goes, well, I was just letting you know that if you call my woman again, I'm going to F you up. And it was her girlfriend, Tony, calling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Keith Kleiser says ex-fiancée Katara Stewart owes for her engagement ring, wedding dress, and an unpaid loan.
What about the camera?
I needed a camera for a photography class that we were doing, and he had brought that home to his house and gave it to me as a gift. He handed it in the box, and he said, he gave it to me and said, have fun with this.
Did you pick out the camera?
No, I was not with him when he got the camera. He brought it, I was waiting at his house.
Now, what's this $118 payment that you made to him?
That was actually for insurance, because I was borrowing his car, and I told him that I would make the insurance payment, and that was an insurance payment. It wasn't any payment for a computer or camera. It was for
He wants
the
to show me something that's different. Let me see what you have, sir.
I've got a breakdown of everything, how it became, what the payment was. The camera was included.
All right, all I want to see is it. I don't want to see what you wrote out here. I thought you had a.
There is
I thought you had a check
there for it. That is my check.
When was the stuff purchased? March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Both the computer and the camera were purchased on March 3rd?
The camera was purchased in January. It was originally intended to be a gift. She told me that she couldn't accept a gift of this magnitude. It was just too much, and she wanted to make payments.
Ah! Get a life. Give that back to him. Give it back to him, Bird. Just cooked his own goose. All right, so the camera was in January, and it was originally purchased as a gift, but then she said, I can't take it because it's too expensive a gift. Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct.
Sir, get a life. Get a life. You lie once, you don't get a second chance. You're getting back the setting for your ring and $284. You've given her the credit for $309, which she now has. Okay? But you are entitled to that money so that you can put it back into your bank and you can pay off your credit card bill But I've deducted $25 from that wedding dress so that she can go to a jeweler and have the jeweler take out the stone and return the setting to you so that you can go and sell the gold. Do you understand what I've done?
There's no need to do that.
Why?
Really, to take the diamond out of a ring, there's really no point in doing that. It doesn't me no good.
Well, what did you want? You're not entitled to have her pay you for it.
I don't want to have her take a ring completely apart and have no use for it, because I don't have use
Maybe
for
she
it.
doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
That's up to
So
you.
you're going to get $284. $309 less 25. That's judgment for the plaintiff. With regard to the other things, I find they were in fact gifts. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was very unreasonable about trying to settle anything.
I had a buyer for the computer. I was all set to go. She refused to give it back.
When people get hurt, you know, you can't try and get money back.
It didn't have to go this far. It really didn't.
It just wasn't there to get married.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gladue versus Culpepper Sedgwick. Step forward, please.
Administrative Assistant Heidi Gladue is suing her former friends, 23-year-old customer service rep Michelle Culpepper and 19-year-old customer service rep Wayne Sedgwick for trashing her belongings.
Miss Gladue, for some reason you were living with the defendants for a brief period of time with your daughter. This didn't work out. They asked you to leave. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you left, but when you left a lot of your property there. And it is your claim that at some point they took your property and threw it in the dumpster.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want them to pay you the value of the property that you claim they disposed of.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendants say they gave you plenty of opportunity to get your stuff out. They had no obligation to keep it. And finally, when you didn't come pick it up, they disposed of it. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, how did it come about that you and your daughter went to live with them?
I was going through some personal problems at the time, and Michelle and I had become really good friends, and I told her I had to move out of my apartment, and she said, well, you can come stay with me, your daughter, and you can come stay with us. You don't have to worry about anything, you know, just come and stay with us for a little while until you get up and off on your feet again.
That sounds like a very nice thing. She sounds like a lovely person. Mm-hmm. And so when did you move in with them?
It was the first weekend of July.
Okay. You moved with your daughter. Did you come with any furniture or just your personalty?
Everything that I owned that was in my two-bedroom apartment went with me. I had told Michelle beforehand.
You mean she had no furniture?
Well, she had furniture in her house too, but we had one of the rooms of the apartment that she was staying at, so most of my stuff went in there, and then in the kitchen where they did not have a table and stuff, that's where my couch went.
They're really nice people. Okay, what happened?
There was a misunderstanding one day where we were, according to Michelle, inconsiderate of her feelings.
Like?
Well, her mom was missing one morning, and nobody could find her. And Wayne, Lois, and I were sitting in the living room. And
Who's
to kind of
Wayne?
lighten the mood.
Who's Wayne?
Wayne is the other defendant. To lighten the mood, Wayne and I decided to tell Lois about this incident the night before that Michelle had bent over to pick up something and kind of fell, and we were kind of laughing about it. And she felt that we were being insensitive to the fact that her mother was missing.
So?
She asked us to leave, that we could stay the weekend if we needed to, and that she wanted us out.
Go ahead.
I told her that I was currently on unemployment at the time, so I was waiting for my unemployment check to come to me. I told her I needed some time, and she said that was no problem.
Okay.
On the 16th, I received my unemployment check in the mail. I went and I got a U-Haul truck and I got my storage area, which I have all receipts for. I told her that I would be there the following morning at 11:30, that if anything should change by that, I would give her a call. Unfortunately, that morning, my mother was admitted for pneumonia in the hospital, which I have documentation of, and I did not get out of that out of the hospital until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called her at work at about 3:30 and told her what was going on and that I would be there tomorrow at 11:30, and she said fine. About an hour later, she called me back and said that her and Wayne had something to do and that they wouldn't be back at the apartment until around 1:30. So I told her, fine, I'll be there between 1 and 1:30. So as far as I was concerned...
On the 18th?
On the 18th, that I would be there between 1 and 1:30. On the morning of the 18th at around 9:30, I received a voicemail message from the defendant, which I have a copy of on tape. So, and
which said?
Pretty much said that her mother had received 3 more threatening phone calls, her apartment manager received 4, and that I could get all my stuff out of the effing dumpster.
Okay. Now who's going to speak?
I will.
Good, thank you.
When everything happened where I asked them to leave, it was just like she said, you know, the thing happened with my mother there in the living room joking around. And I let them know that they had 1 week, exactly 7 days, to get them and their property out of my house.
Okay.
They left that day and came back, I believe, 2 days later and grabbed some clothes and stuff. After the week was up was when I started calling Heidi. Because she had called and it was like, one day she told me, you know, oh, well, I'm waiting to get my check and it didn't come and da-da-da-da-da. And then I ended up having to, I was at my mom's for something. I can't remember exactly why, but the phone rings and I pick it up and the lady on the phone asks if I was Michelle's mother. And I said yes, because I didn't know who it was. So I just kind of went, yeah, who's this? And she goes, well, I was just letting you know, B, if you call my woman again.
I don't understand.
If I was letting you know, if you call my woman again, I'm going to F you up. And it was her girlfriend calling. I'd already had problems with it before, and I did know the voice when I heard it. And so I went home, and I called Heidi, and I asked her, you know, what is this with calling my mother's house? She was on the one with my mother's number, because my number, I'd called her to her cell phone from my mom's house. So
It was somebody that you had lived with?
Her girlfriend.
Significant other, ex now.
Was that the person that you moved out of that home because you were having difficulty?
Yes.
I was trying to help her. I thought her and her daughter get away from me.
Okay, go ahead.
She claimed, oh, I haven't even talked to, and she said something about, you know what, I'm sick of even dealing with you guys. You can just throw the out because I don't want it. I don't want to deal with you. And she started ranting and raving, so I hung up the phone.
And when was this? Do you have any idea what date this was?
The 12th. It was the day she was supposed to have her stuff out.
Okay.
And
what happened next?
The next morning, she called saying that she still hadn't gotten her check and da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, last night you were screaming you didn't even want the stuff, and then today you called me calm, telling me that as soon as you get your check, you'll be there and all this stuff. So I left it alone. I was like, fine, just come get it when you can. When she still didn't come get it, there was 2 other phone calls where she had ran it. I don't want it, and I don't want to deal with you, and you guys can this and that, and just yelling. And so I left it alone. I ended up where I came home on the 16th or the 17th, I can't remember, and Wayne told me to check the machine because there was someone on the machine and he wasn't sure if it was Heidi or her girlfriend. Well, on the machine, there was a message from her saying, you know what, F you guys, I don't want to deal with you, I don't want to see you throw this stuff out because I don't want it. And she repeated herself about 3 or 4 times. And
Do you have that message?
I erased it because I didn't think it was going to come to all this. Honestly, when I listened to the message, I wasn't going to throw it away. It was later on the 17th, I was at work and my mother called me. She said someone was calling her house threatening her. I asked her to look at her caller ID. She looked at it and she recited her cell phone number to me. So I called my play sister, a friend of mine, and I told her I'm leaving work early. You know what? I'm not going to have my mom being threatened. Let's just get her stuff out of my house. I've given her more than enough time. This was now the 17th of July. I told her on the 5th she had basically 5 days. So it was like I felt I'd given her enough time. She had on 3 or 4 different occasions said she'd come get it, then she'd say she didn't want it. So I didn't want to play with her anymore. I didn't want my family threatened like that. So my friend came over, I left work early, we threw her stuff out.
You think she had all this aggravation before you and your daughter moved in?
I do. I think she had it planned personally.
Had what planned?
Had to plan to throw some of my stuff away because I had told her before I moved in that I would get a storage area for me.
No, Miss Gladys, listen, that doesn't, just think it through. You think she invited you into her home for the purpose of throwing away your stuff?
I don't think for throwing away. I don't think she threw away. I had a $2,000 entertainment center. I had a 27 color inch TV. I don't know anybody that would leave that stuff at their place. I had a bed. I had 2 beds there.
Just a second. Did you call Salvation Army?
I was going to until the threat to my mom was made.
Ms. Gladys, bottom line, she has no responsibility to keep your stuff in the house.
Right, but we had a verbal agreement for me to pick it up. She told me that I could, you know, she told me that I could keep my stuff there. I told her I was waiting for my check to come in the mail. Unfortunately, EDD took 10 days to get me my check.
She's not responsible for your bad fortune. My question to you is, do you think she had this grief in her life with threats to her mother?
I do think she had grief, but I was not responsible for those threats, ma'am.
You weren't.
I can't control somebody else who I'm not with. I haven't been with her.
She was riding in a car with when she was supposedly broke up with her.
No, I was not.
I mean, if I was doing it, I had to get my mother's number from her.
She couldn't have because I don't keep phone numbers on my phone.
Yeah, but she had problems. She was trying to do the right thing. Miss Gladys, she is under no obligation to keep your property. She's not your mother.
She's not said she was. She was supposed to be a friend, and friends
she was a friend.
A friend throws your stuff away when you have a verbal agreement to be there at 11:30 in the morning.
I've said it, Miss Gladys. That's all. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's just sad. We lost everything. We don't have a thing left of ours.
26-year-old waitress Anna Stevenson for unpaid rent and bills, damages to the property, and a false arrest. Anna is countersuing for mental distress and for a refund of rent.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Yeah, this is case number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Wilmore versus Stevenson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
All right, there are lots of pieces to this lawsuit, so let me see if I can simplify them. Take one piece at a time. Mr. and Mrs. Wilmore, the defendant was a tenant of yours for a period of time. It is your claim that she owes you for past due rent, that she owes for some utility bills, that she owes for some damage done to the property, and in addition, Mr. Wilmore, that she had you falsely arrested, and you spent a few hours in jail as a result of that arrest, and you want to be compensated for that. Ms. Stevenson says that you actually owe her money. She wants money for mental distress, and she wants all of the rent that she did in fact pay you during the course of her tenancy, because she says the property was substandard. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When did Ms. Stevenson become your tenant, and in what kind of property?
We have a house that was built in 1909. It's a former ranch house that we restored over the past 3.5 years. The downstairs part of the house was turned into an in-law unit.
And that's what you rented her?
Yes.
When?
She actually moved in on February 21st.
Can I see the lease? Is that the lease that you have?
On February 2nd.
All right. Term of the lease shall be for 6 months, commencing on February 7th. You moved in February?
Yes.
And when did Ms. Stevenson move out?
She moved out on June 3rd.
And this is her final notice that she pinned to the door.
I didn't ask anything. So, you moved out on June 3rd?
Yes, I did.
The rent, according to the lease, was $1,000 a month, and she was to give you $2,000 security deposit. Did she ever give that to you?
Yes.
Okay.
She gave us $1,750. She never gave us the $250 that was still due on the deposit.
Okay, so she gave you $1,750. Did you pay February's rent?
I paid from the 21st of February to the 28th, $250.
Okay, was that your agreement?
No.
No. This lease starts February 7th.
There was a 2-week delay because we were finishing construction.
So she couldn't move in?
No.
All right, so then she's correct that she gave you $250. So that.
But that was not the deposit.
I'm not talking about the deposit. I'm talking about for February's rent.
Okay.
Pay attention, because this is an intricate case, and I don't want to have to repeat myself. Put your hand down. March. Did you pay rent in March?
I paid rent in April for March.
How much did you pay in April?
$500 plus $965, $1,465.
How much did she pay in April?
When we came back, she said that due to the...
No, listen to me.
All right.
Forget it.
How much
Can't
did
do it
she
this.
actually
I
pay?
can't do it this way.
Okay, do it your
In
way.
the 6 months, she should have paid $6,000 in rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much did she pay? How much did you pay in the 6 months?
$3,250.
And that's with or without the $1,750?
Including.
Including the $1,750?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you lived there for 4 months, you moved out.
I lived there 3 months and...
Some days?
Almost 2 weeks.
Well, then that's a whole month.
Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
The lease is from February 7th to July 7th. Although it says 6 months, it was signed for 5 months. When I brought it up to Mr. Wilmore, he said it's because they're having house guests.
It says it's a 6-month lease, but I miscalculated the months, and so it says from February through whatever it was, and it actually...
Whatever, I'm going to resolve that in her favor. I see exactly what you mean.
All right.
It says the term of the lease shall be for 6 months, commencing February 7th and ending on July 7th. That's 5 months.
Right.
Right.
There's more to this story.
I don't care. Listen, I don't plan on making this a whole day affair. This
All
is
right.
not the Scopes trial. You say she damaged the premises.
Yes,
How did
Your
she
Honor.
damage the premises?
She left boiling water on a wood parquet floor.
Show me. How do you leave boiling water on a wood parquet floor? I
You
don't
let it overflow a boiling pot, and then, I don't know, maybe wake up an hour later and turn the pot off.
What is this white thing? Is this the stove?
Yes. Yes.
Stoves and I aren't friends. I usually can't identify them unless I see the whole thing.
Martha Stewart's available.
I have a large sign in my kitchen, and you know what this large sign says? Martha Stewart doesn't live here. Would you give this to the defendant and show the defendant?
She says the nicest things about you, Your Honor.
I think she's wonderful. You know, she does her thing. I'll do mine. How'd that happen?
Well, over
Not
time.
a well. Well isn't an answer. Let's have
Over
it.
time, because he had sawed off part of a countertop and put it into a new place right next to the stove and left a gape, half an inch, quarter an inch. Over time, I did see the swelling. He talked with the contractors. I was present to make note that there was swelling. But in my opinion, I did the best thing I could, cleaned up everything. I'm a very neat person.
Was water left there by you that had boiled over on the floor, causing this?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And this, what you're showing me, listen to me carefully, what you're showing me is under
The
the
stove.
stove? Get it. Now tell me about this false arrest.
One day, the sheriff's office arrived at my door and told me that I was under citizen's arrest. When I asked them what for, they said they couldn't disclose. It was a citizen's arrest, and that they made it quite clear that it was not their arrest,
It was by a citizen, this citizen.
not them.
Well, right. And it's clear that Miss Stevenson did, in fact, cause you to be arrested. So I think I'm going to let her tell me the story. Go ahead, madam.
I was greeting a neighbor across the street in the front of in the front of my unit, the back of their apartment. A neighbor that they have a mutual restraining order against. The plaintiffs had put my name as a protected person in a restraining order that they filed against my neighbor. I went to the court system, put a declaration on a penalty of perjury that I did not give them consent to be a protected person. However, this person is my friend. I ran across the street, went in his house actually for the first time, saw that he was a little ill, talked with him for maybe 5 minutes.
You're distracting me.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had him violated on the temporary order of protection. Is that right?
I went down to...
Is that right? Based upon that statement, I read your answer, madam. Don't fool around with me.
And later today,
It's like a $2,000 TV, and 2 weeks later, we get into some kind of argument. She says she wants to break up. I said, I want my TV back then. She goes, no, tough luck.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott and Justina Wilmore claim former tenant Anna Stevenson owes for unpaid rent, damages, and for a false arrest. Anna says Scott violated her restraining order.
Go ahead.
My friend Michelle was waiting downstairs for me. I ran across the street, went up to my unit. Mr. Wilmore was on his upper deck patio and said the sheriffs are on their way. And I said, I know I didn't just hear you talk to me.
Why did you, just a second. I don't have a restraining order. You got a restraining order against
I have
him?
a restraining order against Mr. Wilmore.
For what?
For harassment, for...
What kind of harassment?
First of all, he...
Let me see a copy of the restraining order.
Peeping Tom, ma'am. I caught him in my... crouched down in a small window,
Your Honor,
peering
if you were
through
married
my...
to this one, would you...
Now, listen to me. Listen to me. Mr. Wilmore,
I'm sorry.
you're making it very difficult for me to concentrate on this case.
Okay.
I want you to understand that. Now, I know that you and your wife don't want me to make it difficult for me to concentrate on this case, but talking to each other, looking through your papers, is not helping me.
Okay.
Okay. What was the date, by the way, that he allegedly violated this protective order?
The date I had him arrested, 5/20.
What was the date?
5/20.
And you had gotten this on May 7th?
Correct.
It was continued on your request until the 22nd of May, is that right?
That's right.
Why was it continued?
Because Mr. Wilmore asked for a continuance.
He actually appeared?
He did the first
time and asked for a continuance until the 22nd. Is that
That's
right, sir?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Quiet!
It's not, because...
Listen to me. Just be quiet. And 2 days before you were scheduled to go back to court, Mr. Wilmore said to you from his balcony, I've just called the police.
Yes, ma'am.
And based upon that, you had him violated on the temporary order of protection. Is that right?
I went down to...
Is that right? Based upon that statement, I read your answer, madam. Don't fool around with me. Based upon that statement, the sheriffs are on their way. You had him violated for talking to you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Good. How many hours did you spend in jail?
4.5.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Wilmore?
I used to do software, now I restore houses.
Charge by the job or you charge by the hour?
Currently, it's by the job.
Is this the first time you spent any time in jail? Want to answer that question? What are you looking at her for?
It's not, I don't remember. I don't think so. I mean, I visited, yes.
I don't know what that means, Mr. Wilmore.
Driving infractions.
Driving infractions. Anything other than driving infractions,
No.
sir? Okay, so far she owes you $1,000 in rent. That's what I figured so far, and I haven't gotten to her counterclaim yet. I haven't gotten there yet. She also owes you $500 for the aggravation of you spending time in jail, because I think that it's outrageous that she had you arrested for saying to her the sheriffs are on their way. Outrageous! An abuse of the system, an abuse of sheriff's time, an abuse of everybody's time, just nothing but retaliatory being nasty. It's going to cost her $500. All right, now we're going to get to your side. You're suing for mental distress and a refund of all the rent that you paid to the plaintiff. So let me explain this to you, Miss Stevenson. I believe people have free will and free choice. I don't want to hear that the apartment was substandard because you live in a free country. And if you don't like the accommodations, you move out. Do you understand? Yes. So now you can tell me about the mental distress.
Okay, the mental distress was endured for multiple entrances by the plaintiff without notice or consent, barging in at any time, day or night, having workers illegal at that, entering my unit without consent or notice.
Move.
Move? I did.
Good. That's what you do. You move. And you don't wait 4 months to do it. Counterclaim is dismissed. On your claim, I'm awarding you $1,500. It's $1,000 for rent and $500 for the 4 hours that you spent in jail and her ridiculous complaint. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a good judge.
I'm just so thrilled that it's over.
I respect what she had to say.
It's been a nightmare, and I'm just happy that she's out of our life.
I respect the way she handled their behavioral patterns.
She was a tenant from another planet.
Never trusted at all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cannon versus Coughlin. Step forward, please.
Pilot David Cannon is suing ex-girlfriend Jennifer Coughlin for the return of his 52-inch television set. Jennifer says David gave it to her when he was drunk.
Mr. Cannon, Miss Coughlin is your former girlfriend, and you say she has a television set, a big one, that belongs to you.
Yes, ma'am.
She says the television was a gift. And I find the story behind how you got this television set sort of interesting. I want to make sure I get it right. So why don't you tell me how you got the television set, sir, and when?
It was Super Bowl Sunday. We had decided to go to this place called Boston Pizza. We had just broken up recently and decided that day actually to get back together.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Don't interrupt.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pilot David Cannon is suing ex-girlfriend Jennifer Coughlin for the return of his 52-inch television set. Jennifer says David gave it to her when he was drunk.
Go ahead.
So we went over to the bar. My next-door neighbor was joining us. He joined us a little later. During the game, I was talking to this gentleman next to me, and he was a Patriots fan. I was a Rams fan. Unfortunately, he was the happier one at the end of the night. Patriots won. They were giving away a TV at the end of the night, and the gentleman won it. And I was like, he lived in Boston, and I was like, you can't take that TV back with you. Why don't you just give it to me? He goes, well, if you pay my tab, my bill, I'll let you have the TV. So I was like, well, that's a deal. Because it's like a $2,000 TV, and I paid the tab. It came to like $150. And we were excited, and I was excited about getting back together with her, and I said, well, why don't we just take the TV over to your place, because that's where I always stayed anyway when we were together, and we could all enjoy it, you and your kids. And in the heat of the moment, I kind of said, well, I'll just give it to you, why not? And my next-door neighbor, as we were taking it out, told me that I was nuts, and as we were driving over there and got it up and set up in her apartment, I realized that he was right, and I told her as much, and I said, I can't just give this to you. It's too big of a gift. Why don't we just keep it here? We can all enjoy it. And I'll be here for at least another year, and we're back together, and life is good, flowers and happiness and joy, and and she agreed to it. She said, okay. And my next door neighbor was there to witness it. He works for the state of Texas, and he was not able to come this week. But I have an affidavit if you want to read it. I didn't think you would, but I tried. So 2 weeks later, we get into some kind of argument. She says she wants to break up. I said, I want my TV back then. And she goes, no. I went out and got the warranty in my name. It's my TV now. Tough luck.
Your version.
It's quite different than that. We were sitting at Boston's in Louisville watching the Super Bowl, and we befriended the man in question that originally won the television. And Mr. Cannon here was quite drunk. When the TV was won by him, he looked at us and said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you guys because I can't take it back to Boston, obviously. And he got up and announced to the whole entire bar that he was giving it to me. And his neighbor loaded it into his truck, brought it to my apartment that evening. And I also had some neighbors of mine help bring it up the stairs. And he told everybody who would listen that he was giving it to me, and he was so wonderful. I had done so much for him while we were together. I had loaned him money, this, that, and the other, and that he was giving it to me as a gift. And I did register the warranty in my name, which proves his verification of ownership from RCA, and I told him that I had done that, and he did say at one point, well, I was really drunk and I didn't know what I was doing, so I should probably just go ahead and, just let you borrow the television. And I said, no, you don't do that. Called him a few choice names, and that was the end of it. I didn't hear from him again until April when he filed the case.
Mr. Cannon, describe this television.
It's a 52-inch big screen TV, RCA.
And what size television do you have now in your apartment?
Probably about 25-inch. I have the receipt from Boston's regarding the bill that I paid. I paid the guy's bill to get the TV.
I believe that. Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
I also believe you just gave her the television set. You were drunk. According to you, we were getting back together that day. You wanted to be very magnanimous. So it doesn't ring true that once you got the television up to her house, you would say to her, after having a whole day of drinking and being in a reasonable mood since you're getting back together with this lady that you are crazy about, listen, maybe it would be just a good idea if I let you borrow it. But you had already given it to her. She had already made arrangements and gotten people to move it up to her apartment.
Well, there wasn't anything arranged. We just kind of loaded up in my next door neighbor's truck and went
took
over
it there to her house because you had given it to her.
हम नात सुनाया करते हैं दुनिया तो मजे से सोती है हम उनको पुकारा करते हैं जन्नत के फरिश्ते भी उनकी किस्मत का नजारा करते हैं सुल्तान उम्म के कदमों में जो उम्र गुजारा करते हैं इश्क बिलाले सादिक पर बेवजह सितम फरमाता है सुल्तान जहान के दीवाने हिम्मत नहीं हारा करते हैं कुछ रोज से इश्क़े अहमद में यूं रात गुजारा करते हैं दुनिया तो मजे से सोती है हम नात सुनाया करते हैं दुनिया तो मजे से सोती है हम उनको पुकारा करते हैं